Goodell. Outspoken.
We're going to talk a number of topics with Bob Costas. Hello, Bob. How are you today?
Hey, Kevin. How you doing?
We're now joined by Missouri State Representative from Springfield, Sarah Lampe.
Coach Ken Carter. How you doing today, Coach?
Sounds like a cool dude, and I just would like to shake your hand.
Gosh, a minute ago, you're ready to kick my ass.
He's Kevin Slayton. Now, all rise for the King's Court on 590 The Man.
On the day I was born, the nurses all gathered round, and they gazed in wide wonder.
Oh, yeah.
At the joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up, said, "Leave this one alone." She could tell right away.
Yes, she could. Yes, she could. We welcome you, St. Louis. It is a Friday afternoon. This is the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. Kevin Slayton with you on 590 The Man. Glad you're along for the ride today. As always, our number and our lines are open at 314-399-8923. 399-8923. And there you have it. That's our number, and it isn't hard to remember. Not hard at all. So if you want to weigh in, feel free to do so. Now, there's a whole bunch of things going on, and it's amazing that as we get into this NFL debacle, and by NFL, I mean the Ray Rice situation, but it's really now more focused on Roger Goodell. And then Danny Ferry down in Atlanta, a tape has surfaced of his comments in a scouting meeting. You get somebody in your own scouting staff who's taping you while you claim you're reading a scouting report. Didn't sound like he was reading the report. When you heard the tape, it sounded like they were his own comments. But nonetheless, who the hell's taping people in the middle of a scouting meeting? I mean, you almost have to, if you're talking to your wife, you better frisk her before you say anything. If you're talking to your best friend, you better frisk him. Talking to your grandma, maybe you ought to frisk your grandma. I mean, everybody's recording everything. It's an insane world. Absolutely insane.
Oh, dear Lord, please make it stop.
I don't even know if the Lord can make this insanity stop. It's going to be the undoing of this country and the society, though. I believe that.
What the hell's going on out here?
I don't know, Vince. You're up there in heaven. Man, we probably wish we were there with you. This is getting crazier by the moment. Then Roger Goodell, many people think he should be flushed from his job as the commissioner. Maybe he will be. It isn't looking good for him. It's not looking good now. Not only the case of the videotape, but now you have 4 sources saying they had knowledge of the conversation between Ray Rice and Roger Goodell when Goodell had him come and meet him. In the conversation, the sources all claim independently that Ray Rice told Roger Goodell that he punched his then-fiancée, that he hit her. He was honest and said it would never happen again, and told how sorry he was. Goodell, unfortunately for him, on CBS, their morning show the other day, said that Ray Rice was ambiguous with his conversation that day. No, I don't believe Roger Goodell for a minute on that. Not for 1 second. And I don't understand why a guy of his intelligence, a guy of his stature, and a guy in his position would be so stupid as to think your best way out of this is to lie. When you already know there's videotape of the elevator incident, you already know what Ray Rice told you, and by everyone's account except Roger Goodell's, Ray Rice told him he punched her. Now, he didn't even have to tell him. So if Ray Rice is ambiguous, it doesn't matter. You know the severity of what took place. So don't try to justify your 2-game suspension by lying about it. As I said the other day when we had Chet Pleban on, all Goodell had to do was come forward after the 2-game suspension and the firestorm hit and explained himself. Well, here's why I gave him just a 2-game suspension, but he never did.
You can't handle the truth.
I think we could have all handled whatever he had to say. And if he had any kind of a plausible explanation, people probably would have given him the benefit of the doubt. They also whether they disagreed or not, would have had to accept it. Here's my thinking. You don't have to agree with it, but here's why I did it. He never did that. He just left it hanging and then said later in a letter to all the owners, I made a mistake on this one. What was your mistake? The 2-game suspension? And if that were the mistake, why was it a mistake? Why? Because Ray Rice told you in the meeting that he punched her? And you still gave him 2 games?
Did you have a question?
I have a lot of questions, and I'm afraid that Roger Goodell doesn't have a lot of answers. They're great questions. The issue is, does he have great answers? And I'm not sure that he does. And I'm a Roger.
You can't handle the truth.
I can. I'm a Roger Goodell fan. I've liked the way he's tried to discipline this league and all the knuckleheads in it through the years. He blew it on the Ray Rice situation. He blew it on the Hardy situation down in Carolina. Hardy has a conviction. He has an appeal, but he has a conviction. So I think once you're convicted, the NFL is well within its range of punishment to go ahead and issue a suspension. But if their philosophy is to wait until all legal proceedings are over, Hardy may be able to play another couple of years. You have to draw the line in the sand on a conviction, I think. Speaking of that, Oscar Pistorius found guilty of culpable homicide. Now, there's so many different things he was charged with over there. I'm not a criminal defense lawyer in terms of murder cases and that type of thing. And I don't know if there is such a thing as culpable homicide here. I know we have negligent homicide. I'm assuming it's similar. But he was not found guilty. In fact, was acquitted on both the more serious charges, the murder, premeditated murder, and any form of murder. Now, this particular conviction can bring him a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison. The judge had some very bizarre logic in her decision to not find him guilty and find him innocent of murder. She said there was not enough evidence to support the contention that he knew Reva Steenkamp was behind a locked toilet door in his home. Well, who did he think was there? I know he claims he thought there was an intruder. Most intruders don't pause to use the bathroom. And they probably don't lock the door either to the bathroom. She said the prosecutors had not proved beyond a reasonable doubt that Pistorius intended to kill her. What did he intend to do? Wound her? With 4 shots through the door?
Does someone need a hug?
I think the judge does, from Oscar Pistorius. So the judge then today, early this morning, overnight, whatever time change there is, found him guilty of culpable homicide. Now, there's a sentencing hearing that begins October 13th. Both sides can call witnesses to argue on the sentencing. This thing could take until Christmas. I thought it was a shocking verdict. I thought he was going to be found guilty of murder. I think he is guilty of murder, but he's an innocent man in the judge's eyes, other than culpable homicide.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that he didn't plan the murder. He didn't intend to kill her, although it's hard to swallow that logic. Difficult for me anyway. And I'd hate to be Reva Steenkamp's parents. I'm sure they didn't like it. He was also acquitted on 2 other weapons charges, including a count of firing a gun in public and a count of illegal possession of ammunition.
That doesn't make sense.
No, it does not. I mean, you did fire a gun in public 4 times.
What happened? I blacked out.
I think the judge blacked out. I think she got bored with all those people referring to her as my lady. Of course, they refer to everybody as my lady. I got confused on that. You listen to Pistorius' testimony. He's talking to his lawyer, and he refers to his lawyer as my lady. The lawyer's a guy.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
Oscar Pistorius. And then he refers to the judge as my lady. Everybody's my lady over there in the courtroom. I don't get that.
Who are those guys?
I don't know. They don't sound like guys. They sound like ladies.
I don't understand the words you just said.
It's a little confusing. But then again, it is South Africa.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But anyway, if the judge has a range of suspending the sentence completely or prison up to 15 years.
Let's go while we're young.
Well, we're still going to be young if he gets a suspended sentence when he gets out, because he'll be out immediately. He's out on bail now. But a suspended sentence only means probation, and he's a free man. Whew. It'll be interesting to see what happens in South Africa if there'll be any protests. They don't seem to protest like people do here. But that's an interesting case to follow, I think. And we'll follow it for you. I don't know if you saw the video of last night's fastball that got away from Mike Fiers of Milwaukee that hit Giancarlo Stanton in the face. One of the ugliest scenes I've ever witnessed. And then to see him, Stanton, lying there with the blood just pouring out of his mouth, his eyes. He's got broken facial bones, some dental issues. It was not a pretty sight. And the question I always have after those things happen is, how does a player come back? How does a hitter hang in there the next time he bats? And that probably won't be this season. He's probably done for the year. To me, that would be the toughest thing to overcome. Tony Conigliaro was able to overcome it way back in 1967, 68. He was able to bounce back from that beating, but it did ruin his career later because he suffered from double vision. So our prayers are with Giancarlo Stanton. There were a lot of beanballs last night. A Yankee player got hit in the head, or the jaw, the face. Not nearly as bad as Stanton's. There are guys hit on the hands. It must have been a full moon last night. And there has to be a full moon in the head of Paul George, the Indiana Pacer player. I don't know if you saw his tweets yesterday regarding Ray Rice's situation. But he was almost illiterate, first of all. His grammar is so bad. This is the problem. These are guys who came out of college into the NBA. How did they ever get in college? I don't understand it. This guy's tweets were that of an illiterate. And so, of course, now he's apologizing. It's pretty amazing. He says, keep it 100. What's that mean? Is that some slang term?
It's like, it's cool, it's hip, keep it 100. Like, I always got $100 bills on me. Like, I'm the best.
Keep it 100.
Like, you can't have higher than a $100 bill, so you keep it 100. You're the best, you're the coolest.
Keep it 100. Let's act on this police violence like we acting on this Ray Rice case. Stay strong, homie.
Hey, Kevin, you keep it 100, man.
I'm going to keep it 100. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm going to do.
Absolutely. Hey.
Thank you, Rocky. Here's another one. If you in a relationship and a woman hit you first and attacking you, capital letters, then you obviously ain't beating her. Homie made a bad choice.
Do you actually listen to yourself when you speak, or
I
do
don't
you find you drift in and out?
I think Paul George drifts in and out. I really do. So now you can tell those other tweets, all right? Those were him. Someone wrote this for him, and so he tweets this. Let me apologize to the women and to the victims of domestic violence. People, my intent was not to downplay the situation. That sounds like a fairly intelligent person writing that. But Paul George sounds like an illiterate.
I'm going to see how many followers Paul George has that read those.
That want to keep it 100? Keep it 100, homie. Wow. Larry Bird says Paul George's tweets from earlier were thoughtless and without regard to the subject of domestic violence and its seriousness in society. We've talked to Paul to strongly express our displeasure and made it clear that the NBA and the Pacers organization will not condone or tolerate remarks of this nature. Paul understands he was wrong and why his tweets were so inappropriate and is very apologetic. I bet he was. Keep it 100, baby. Homie. Keep it 100. 314-399-8923 is our number.
He's got 1 million followers.
1 million people follow that boob.
Keep it 100, baby.
Tell you, this country is heading over the precipice. And I think we're more than halfway over it. 1 million other illiterate people are following him on Twitter.
And they probably took what he said to heart and
Homie.
Yeah.
They're all going, hey, my man Paul George says keep it 100, homie. It's amazing. Then we got Danny Ferry down in Atlanta. Do we have his we have the tape of him? Oh, Danny Ferry. See if we can pull that up. Because if you remember, he's saying that was him today after he found out somebody taped him.
Oh, you want the secret tape?
I want him while he was in the meeting.
I thought you wanted today's tape.
Yeah, that was today's when someone told him, hey, Danny, by the way, somebody taped you. That was him. That was his reaction to that. So here's a guy who's the general manager of the team, president of the team, in a scouting meeting, reading various scouting reports of certain available free agents. At least this was the story. He read a scouting report, one of the Hawks scouts, about Luol Deng. And in that scouting report, according to the story, Scout referred to Deng as a guy who has some African in him. The kind of guy who would have a storefront, but out back be doing things that weren't above board. Kind of guy that would be a butt kisser in front of the coach, but then behind his back cause trouble. So, of course, they're coming under fire for the he's got a little bit of African in him comment. And the story is that Ferry didn't say those words himself. He simply was reading those words from a scouting report. Unfortunately for Danny Ferry, some traitor in his scouting meeting was recording everything and now has put that out all over the place. And it doesn't sound like Danny Ferry's reading anything. It sounds like it's his opinion.
I think this is it, but I'm not sure. You want to see?
Yeah, let's hear it. I don't think that is it. It should be on...
it's loading.
Okay. But this is the problem. I'm assuming Danny Ferry now knows better than to say anything, read anything, do anything in your meetings that have anything to do with anything that might offend someone, which, of course, is anything. And I don't even know what that phrase meant. He has a little African in him. What does that mean? I mean,
well, isn't he an African American?
I think he's. I don't know where Dang's from, but I don't. I'll find out. I don't believe he's from the United States. But I don't know what that meant because there was no context. So I don't know what the deal is. He's a British player, so he's from England.
Well, you can shoot the shit out of his door, but he screws you up another way. So is he really worth the $20 million? I would argue that if we can get him the right way and get him in the right case, absolutely. But it doesn't come without some risk.
I know there's a cleaner tape somewhere.
Is that the one that you heard? Or?
No, that's not the one I heard. That sounded like it was at the end of what he had said, because now he's coming to a conclusion about whether she get the money or not. But he goes through this scouting report earlier. Deng is a British player, but was born in South Sudan. So he is African. He's of African descent. So, but I don't know what that comment meant. It's the context of it. You just don't know what the Scott was referring to. But I do know this, that if you've got window issues, Window World is a phone call away for you. 314-993-1800 to get a free in-home estimate. Free. We're coming upon the rainy type of the year, and boy, are we getting some rain this week. And if your windows are a little bit too old anyhow, and they're starting to let cool air out in the summer, warm air out in the winter, you don't want that. Not only is your house going to be uncomfortable, but your bills are going to be uncomfortable. So call Window World, 314-993-1800 for a free in-home estimate. The home of the original $189 window guys, any size, white vinyl double-hung windows, just $189. Window World just voted number 1 by J.D. Power & Associates. Second year in a row in that industry, that doesn't happen. But it did for Window World, and they also carry an A+ from the Better Business Bureau and Angie's List on their resume. They've improved more than 40,000 homes, both the look and thermal efficiency right here in our area. 5 years in a row, they're number 1 in the country, over 1 million windows sold in that business. And Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. That's why I could not crack it, crease it, dent it, break it, damage it in any way when I stood on those windows on the showroom floor. Window World uses double-strength glass. You won't find that many places. 12 months free financing with approved credit, same as cash, from Window World. 314-993-1800 for a free in-home estimate. All right, let's take a break. This is the Pabst Blue Ribbon. Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. John Ziegler thinks Roger Goodell is not lying. He's going to join us right after this.
Got a traffic ticket? Don't end up in court. Don't end up with points on your license. And don't end up paying higher insurance premiums. Call the lawyers at the Ticket Clinic at the MLM Law Group, the official law firm of 1380. They fight any moving violation, from speeding to a suspended license, even DUIs. In most cases, you don't even have to go to court. They have over a decade of experience and have resolved thousands of cases from only $50 plus costs, if any. An experienced lawyer will go to court for you. And on most civil infractions, they will make sure you end up with no points, no school, and no court. Call the lawyers at the Ticket Clinic at the MLM Law Group at 314-888-5477 or visit them on the web at www.themlmlawgroup.com. Don't pay higher insurance premiums and don't risk your license. Call the Ticket Clinic at the MLM Law Group at 314-888-5477. That's 314-888-5477. Call today.
The battle will rage on all day this Saturday on The Landing in 7 different locations as bands from all over St. Louis try to be the champion. Big Daddies, Heartbreakers, Show Me's, Hannigan's, Marcel's, Morgan Street, and Joey B's will all host bands throughout the day with great drink specials that will last from 11 a.m. until midnight. Come out to The Landing Saturday, September 13th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight and see the best local live music in the STL, brought to you by Jim Beam, Kentucky Fire, Pinnacle Vodka, and Sauza Blue Tequila.
Finally, the holidays are over, and I have a few New Year's resolutions for you to start 2014 off right. When your sex life is great, life seems great, and it's a fact that people who have sexual stimulation 4 or more times a week, according to Oxford University, are happier, more confident, and make more money. You might not be able to have more sex or even have a partner at this time, but the key word was stimulation. Pure Pleasure at any of their 5 locations near you in St. Louis, St. Peters, Pevely, St. Charles, and Fairview Heights, Illinois can help you with a variety of toys, DVDs, and other items to help in this area. Pure Pleasure locations are ready to serve you and have what you need to make 2014 happier and more productive in many ways. There's nothing embarrassing or more natural than sex and the desire for it. And better sex is something Pure Pleasure can help you with today. Stop by any of their 5 area locations or visit PurePleasureSTL.com. PurePleasureSTL.com.
Hey, fantasy football fans, football season is heating up. And who doesn't love the excitement of picking your team? It's probably the best part of the season. Well, get this. You can do that any week when you play in 1-week fantasy football leagues at FanDuel.com. This is next-level fantasy football. Every week is a whole season at FanDuel. You play for real money, and winners get immediate cash payouts. There's no season-long commitment, so you only play when you want. Plus, you can play in fantasy football leagues for as little as $1. Nothing beats the excitement of living out a whole season of fantasy football in just 1 week. Every week is a chance to win big at FanDuel. And right now, FanDuel is giving you up to $200 free. For every dollar you deposit, FanDuel will match it up to $200. But hurry, offer ends this Friday. The only way to get up to $200 free is to go to FanDuel.com, click the microphone in the upper right corner, and enter the promo code FOOTBALL75. That's FANDUEL.com, promo code FOOTBALL75.
You will respect the authority. This is the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court on 590 The Man.
And we welcome you back in to the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. Kevin Slayton with you on a Friday afternoon. Wait to hear this. Marshall Wireless Sprint. Wait till you hear this. Everybody pay attention now, no matter what kind of phone you have, unless you already have the Sprint phone. The new iPhone. You can go into Marshall Wireless Sprint stores today, any one of the 16 in our area, and pre-order your new iPhone. But listen to what you get. Only at Marshall Wireless Sprint, only at Marshall Wireless Sprint, they have the exclusive iPhone for Life plan. $70 a month, unlimited, everything. Text, data, phones, new phone. You don't buy the phone. The phone is free. And then $70 a month, unlimited for life. Unlimited. If you're on Verizon or AT&T, these new iPhones are going to eat data like crazy. So you want to get out of that. So you want to go to Marshall Wireless where they'll pay your cancellation fee up to $350 a line.
What the hell's going on out here?
Coach Vince, it's the most spectacular offer in cell phone history. No fee for your phone, $70 a month, unlimited everything. You pre-order your iPhone at the exclusive iPhone for Life plan with Marshall Wireless today. There are no catches here, folks. You know me better than that. No catches, no tricks. Go now to Marshall Wireless Sprint and pre-order that iPhone and get the exclusive iPhone for Life package. Wow. That's amazing. You'd have to be crazy not to do that. All right. John Ziegler joins us, and as John joins us, the news now comes from the NBA that Danny Ferry has taken a leave of absence in the wake of his scouting meeting. Oh, I'm telling you, it's indefinite. That means he's done. Another one bites the dust. Hey, John, how are you?
Always good to talk to you.
Just more craziness going on in the world of sports.
Well, yeah, we're living in an incredibly politically correct time, and it's bizarre that sports seems to bear the brunt of it. I mean, it's really almost comical where we're heading with this in the world of sports in every aspect, and I think it's even seeping onto the field. I don't know if you watched the Steelers-Ravens game last night, but some of those personal foul calls on the Steelers I thought were just ridiculous. We might as well just play flag football now. I mean, you're not allowed to say anything. You're not allowed to touch anybody. You're not allowed to do anything in sports, and it's really sad. It's comical, but also sad.
Yeah, there was a call in the end zone last night against one of the Steeler defensive backs that was a laughable personal foul call. There was a call against the Rams, although the Rams got blown out anyway, but there was a roughing the passer call against Robert Quinn where he just brushed the side of the quarterback. He didn't even hit him. He was running past him. Didn't reach up and hit him in the head and knock his helmet around or anything. It's ridiculous.
No, it really is, and frankly, it's. I know that you and I are going to talk about this Roger Goodell situation. I despise Roger Goodell because of what he's done to football, and I actually almost hope I'm wrong about my assessment of what's going on here with the Ray Rice situation, so that we can get rid of Goodell, and maybe somebody can save football. But I just think it's emblematic of our whole society that we become so politically correct. And I don't see where we're going to go back. I think it's only going to get worse. It's the slippery slope. It's a slippery slope when it comes to racism. It's a slippery slope when it comes to no contact on the football field. I just don't see where it ends.
Well, I don't think it's a slippery slope at all with racism. It's a very downhill slope. There's nothing slippery about it. As soon as you touch it, you're gone.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Now that's where we've gotten. You're not allowed to say anything. In fact, I mean that email that the Hawks owner sent. I didn't see anything remotely racist about that.
I didn't either.
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
right.
of all people, and how bizarre is it that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is now the voice of reason when it comes to race issues? This reminds me kind of like George Foreman becoming the grill salesman later on in life. I mean, it's bizarre that when you consider where Kareem was in the 70s. As a militant on these issues, and now he's the voice of reason. It's really kind of amazing. But that email that the Hawks owner, who's now forced to sell his team, sent was in no way, shape, or form racist. In fact, if anything, he was critical of white people. So
he was critical of white people. He was critical of Southern white people who he felt were afraid to come to his basketball games because there was a black overtone. He was definitely critical of white people, not black people. But that's how crazy things have gotten. Well, let's get to Goodell, because you don't feel that he's lying, and I do. And, in fact, I like Goodell as commissioner. I like things that he's done with regard to disciplining the knuckleheads in this league over the past 10 years. And now he made a huge mistake in the Ray Rice thing with a 2-game suspension and foolishly didn't come out and explain why he only gave him 2 games. That was his first mistake. And subsequently now, I believe he's lying. I believe he's lying about what took place in the meeting with Ray Rice. There are now 4 sources, apparently, who have knowledge of that conversation, who claim Ray Rice told him he punched her, said he was sorry, and it would never happen again. Unfortunately, Goodell is on CBS the other morning saying that Rice was ambiguous in that meeting. Well, see, to me, if that's true, if Goodell's telling the truth, then he clearly had his opportunity to explain why he only gave him a 2-game suspension when the tape came out. All he had to say was, well, you know what? He lied to me in that meeting, but he didn't. He said he was ambiguous. So Ray Rice didn't deny punching her in that meeting. We all know that. And any fool knows that he did something real bad in that elevator before you saw the tape.
Well, let's make something clear. My objection to what most of the media is saying, what I think you're saying, is that I don't believe that Goodell is lying when he says he didn't see the tape before Monday. All the other stuff that you just talked about, I think you can have a reasonable discussion about it. Was it right, was it not? I have a theory on what was really going on and why Goodell originally went with a 2-game suspension. But my issue here is purely on the narrow scope of, is he lying about seeing the tape? And I don't think he is, Kevin. And the reason why in fact, I strongly believe he's not lying about seeing the tape, is because every single action by him and the NFL, including, by the way, today with the NFL announcing that Rice was suspended indefinitely because he essentially was not forthcoming in that meeting with Goodell, is 1,000% consistent with Goodell having never seen the tape before Monday, and 100% inconsistent with the notion that Goodell is lying. Now, again, I'm not defending the handling of this situation, and I believe that there was at the very least some massive incompetence going on, but I defy anybody to give me a logical scenario that makes any sense at all, starting Monday, that explains how Goodell is not the dumbest person in the history of the world, based upon his actions since Monday. I've gone through it in my own head dozens of times, and I just don't see how it makes any sense. And the timeline here is incredibly important, because when the tape comes out on Monday, Kevin, Goodell still has plenty of options other than lying and saying he never saw it. That's where I want to begin with this. He has plenty of other options that make a hell of a lot more sense than going immediately, within 3 hours, and double, tripling, and quadrupling down on this lie and nothing else. I believe that lie would have caved in already if it had been a clear lie. And I guess what I'm fascinated by, Kevin, is you and I see so eye to eye on the Penn State story, And I think you are buying into, assuming I understand your position correctly, you're buying into a very, very similar rush to judgment against Goodell as to what happened with Joe Paterno. And a lot of people are making a similar comparison. I believe it's an erroneous comparison.
There is no comparison.
There are a lot of differences, but I don't see how there's any logical scenario where Goodell saw the tape. You rip him on all sorts of other things related to this, but I am positive that probe is going to find out he never saw the tape.
All right, first of all, I'm not buying into anything. I believe my own ears and eyes, and when I look at the evidence is clear to me that it's against Goodell telling the truth here. Goodell lost all, and I mean all, credibility when he rips up and reneges on an agreement that he had made and signed off on with Ray Rice and his camp on a 2-game suspension. He reneges on the deal. Hold on. That's step one. He reneges on the deal, so his credibility is out the window. Now, Roger Goodell's word from this moment forward means nothing. Whether he suspends another guy 6 games, 600 games, or 6 minutes, it doesn't hold any water because he's liable to change his mind a week later if the tide turns against him, as he did in Ray Rice. Secondly, I don't believe there's any scenario under which he didn't see this tape. This NFL is all-powerful. They're just a notch below the state in terms of their power at acquiring different things through their security system. I can't for 1 minute imagine Goodell not having access to that tape. And then when a source, and we don't know who the source is, I'm certain that will come out, says that the tape was sent there, a woman responded with a voicemail. I'm assuming we'll hear that voicemail when the investigation is complete. He immediately says he didn't see it. Well, to buy into that, talk about buying into something, to buy into this, that if tape was sent to the NFL of an assault by a player, a terrible assault, and someone at the NFL office decides, well, I'm not going to give that to Roger Goodell. I think if you buy into that notion, you're naive. And thirdly, he then says Ray Rice was ambiguous. That's the most bogus statement of all, because it doesn't really matter what Ray Rice said. A third grader knows that a violent act took place in that elevator with or without the tape, with or without Ray Rice's owning up to it. So to say that because Rice was ambiguous in his conversation, Goodell then only suspended him for 2 games is poppycock, in my opinion.
All right. Now, you said a lot of things there. I wish we'd gone through this one by one because it would be a little bit easier, but I'm going to try to tackle all of them, okay? Let's start with at the beginning. I personally think, Kevin, that you are presuming guilt to prove guilt, which is exactly what the other side did to Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky. But let's talk about this issue.
That's not the case, by the way.
Let's talk about this issue of him reneging on the 2-game suspension. See, what's ironic to me about your position on that is, to me, that's far more consistent with the notion that he didn't see the tape, because he reneges on that immediately. Within 3 hours of the tape becoming public, Goodell reneges on that deal. The only way that makes sense is if he never had seen the tape previously. And if he had seen the tape previously, the Rice camp would know that. And the Rice camp, when he suspends Rice indefinitely, he removes all reason for the Rice camp to not immediately come out and say, this is ridiculous. You saw the tape previously when you gave us the 2-game suspension, and now we're going to sue your ass for double jeopardy. But nothing like that has happened.
Hold on, John. There is no. Hold on. They can't sue him for double jeopardy. He's.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't.
If it's not new information.
No, they can't.
It's not new information.
This is not a criminal court.
Assessment.
This is not a criminal court.
Illegally on an agreement that he made.
This is not. This is not a criminal court.
Do that if it's new information.
This is not a criminal. It's not a criminal case. It is an administrative case. There's no such thing as double jeopardy in an administrative case like this. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. He did renege on a deal. If you'd listen, I'll explain it to you. If you'd listen, I'll explain it to you. It's not double jeopardy. Double jeopardy is being tried. Double jeopardy. You don't want to hear it? That's fine. Turn him down. Double jeopardy is being tried for the same crime. This is not double jeopardy. In the NFL's administrative ruling, this is not even a crime. In the criminal court system, it's a crime, but it's not here. Whether or not Ray Rice sues Roger Goodell is still up in the air. My firm belief is that Rice's camp is doing the smartest thing they could do by keeping quiet because he wants to play again. And if he comes after the commissioner right about now, he may never play again. But the NFL Players Association has to take the first step, not Ray Rice. And they just received a letter of suspension today. And they said they're reviewing it, which is exactly as I predicted on Monday. The NFLPA will do something in this case. They have to be careful because they don't want to seem like they're siding with domestic abuse. But they can certainly come after Goodell on reneging on this deal. And I predict they will, and I predict that at some point Ray Rice will take legal action as well. But he's not about to do it right now. That would be foolhardy.
It would be leaked. It would absolutely be leaked right now by the Rice people if they knew that Goodell had seen the tape. And that has not happened, and there's been plenty of time for that to happen. And by the way, one of the falsities in your premise is that you still think that Roger Goodell is a very powerful figure. On Tuesday, his balls got cut off. He lost one testicle. The other testicle's hanging by a thread. No one's afraid of him anymore. If anybody goes to the media, like Rice's lawyer or whatever, the media is going to lap it up. If the Rice lawyer says, by the way, Goodell told us he had this tape, and that's why we had no leverage. I mean, so we know that didn't happen.
It's not true.
And so
it's not true at all.
I'm sorry.
Ray Rice has any ambition to play in the NFL again, and he bucks the system here, there's such a thing as collusion. All of these owners think the same way when it comes to tarnishing their NFL shield. And if Ray Rice is seen as the outcast, he'll never have a job in the NFL again. He may not anyway, but he will not. I promise you he will not if he goes against Roger Goodell at this point.
There's nothing left for him to lose.
Oh, yes, there is.
By destroying Goodell.
There sure is.
By the way, let's take a look.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Turn it on. How can you even say that, John? There's nothing for him to lose. He wants to play. And if he's seen as the black mark on the league by the other owners, and if they have to vote to fire Goodell because of him, there is not a chance in hell that Ray Rice will ever be picked up by anybody ever again.
But if he can prove that the original 2-game suspension was based upon Goodell having seen the videotape, 1, Goodell is gone. 2, it shows that he has, I believe, a huge lawsuit, and that the media is going to destroy the NFL on this. It totally changes the ball game. But Kevin, without getting mired in that issue, what about the issue of the 3-hour time period from the moment that the tape comes out publicly to the moment that Goodell doesn't just say that he never saw the tape. He acts exactly like he never saw the tape, suspending Rice indefinitely, tripling down on this notion that he never saw the tape. In 3 hours, there's not enough time for him to make sure that there's no evidence that he saw the tape. How do you explain that? There was nothing forcing his hand in those 3 hours.
Well, what? Are you not paying attention? There was a massive public outcry against him and the NFL. These guys are political animals. They blow the way the wind blows, and that's just what Goodell did. As soon as this tape was made public Monday, Goodell immediately reneges on a deal and suspends Ray Rice because the public was calling for his head before the tape came out. And as soon as the tape came out, he knew he was doomed if he didn't do something to make everybody back off of him and his 2-game suspension. He's been doing that. He's been doing that since he issued the suspension, coming up with some letter changing the policy because of the public outcry. It's the only reason he did that. And the only reason he then increased the suspension and reneged on his deal is because of the public outcry and no other reason.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. First of all, you're 3 hours into a public outcry. We hadn't had the New York Times editorial board call for his resignation. The NFL Network hadn't abandoned him yet. We hadn't had owners come out and say, Roger, you're gone. Nothing like that.
Nobody has said that still.
On Twitter, but the NFL commissioner doesn't give a damn. He's not going to put his entire career on the line when it can be easily proven that he's lying because he didn't have enough time to cover his tracks in those 3 hours, when he has another perfectly logical explanation. He could have easily said, had he seen the tape when that tape came out, he could have said, because he was never on record on this prior, Kevin, he could have said, this information was known to us when we made the 2-game suspension. I have already said I made a mistake. Case closed. That's all he needed to do. And by the way, I think, and this is, to get to the bottom of all this, what really happened here, the essence of what really happened here, I believe, Kevin, is that Goodell, a liberal white male, had Janae Rice, Ray Rice's wife, plead to him for mercy on her husband and take responsibility for something she didn't do. As a liberal white male, that was kryptonite to Goodell. He had no other choice in his mind. He didn't think he needed to see the tape. He didn't even want to see the tape. He thought, in the arrogance, and I agree with you, NFL is incredibly arrogant, and Goodell is arrogant. I buy into all of that. He thought he could go ahead and be the benevolent dictator and take it easy on Ray Rice out of concern for Janae Rice. So he decided to split the baby, make a 2-game suspension, and never thought that the tape would come out. Now, as far as the tape, the NFL not finding the tape, I'm going to disagree with you on this one, too, because this is not their area of expertise. And I've seen this on the Penn State story many times. I'm just one guy in Los Angeles, California. Look at all the stuff I found that no other major network found, that the Office of the Attorney General never found, that all these people with big organizations and big budgets and big names, they never found squat. Well, it's the TMZs of the world that actually have a financial incentive, they have an expertise in getting this stuff, and they don't care about whether what they're doing is illegal. That's the way the world works now. The NFL is restricted by rules and regulations and laws, and it's not their area of expertise. So the notion that I find it hilarious that ESPN and Deadspin are all over the NFL for not finding this tape because obviously it was so easy to find. Well, why didn't they find it? It was so damn easy. And I think that's driving a lot of the media outrage.
That's very simple.
That's so simple.
That's so simple. I can't believe you're saying why didn't they find it. First of all, they didn't even look for it. The media didn't look for it at all. Number one, they're all in bed with the NFL, so they're not going to go looking for things to hurt the NFL with. No chance in hell they're going to look for something to dare disagree with the NFL. But the suspension was so absurd of 2 games that people everywhere were screaming about it. So then the media had to pay attention. The fact that you think this is not the NFL's expertise, they have ex-FBI agents on their security staff. It is exactly their expertise to find that tape. Exactly their expertise. And that's the other problem they have. They lied about that. They lied and said the New Jersey State Police had access to it because the New Jersey State Police had jurisdiction on the investigation. That was a lie. There's nothing the NFL has said so far that I have found truthful in this entire debacle.
Hold on a second. Let's take a look at, first of all, that issue about the state police. I believe that was a simple mistake, not a lie. But let's
it was a lie.
The notion that the Associated Press story. I want. By the way, before we get to the Associated Press story, you don't buy my theory about Janae Rice having an influence on Goodell here?
No, I don't. I don't think that would force him to give a 2-game suspension, knowing, if he didn't know, knowing that everybody everywhere was going to react crazily about that suspension. I don't think he's going to put his job at risk because she says, please, Mr. Commissioner, I promise he won't do it again.
Well, then hold on a second. Now you're contradicting yourself on the philosophy
of
who Roger Goodell is.
No, I'm not.
Fine. Let's go to the Associated Press report, because I find this report right now to be balderdash. We don't know, first of all, we don't know who the alleged law enforcement official is. We don't know why he decides to send unsolicited evidence to the NFL. But okay, I'm fine. I'll accept it. That's probably true. Now, we don't even know the position or the name of the NFL official. We haven't heard the audio tape. We don't know squat about what happened there. What if this person was in the mailroom or receptionist? What if this person didn't say that the tape was horrible? What if they said the whole Rice mess was horrible? I mean, the NFL is a huge organization. I get mail sent to my house that my wife doesn't give me. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that it's impossible that the NFL commissioner was not given a tape, assuming everything in the AP report is true, which we don't even know yet.
I can't even believe it. I can't even believe that you think that. You compare your wife getting the mail at your house to some employee of the NFL getting a bombshell of a tape and deciding on their own to go ahead and lose their job by not turning it over to the proper people at the NFL office. If you really believe that, then you're far more naive than I ever expected you to be. And by the way, what we have here is something that is very similar to Penn State in one respect, and that is a former FBI director is being hired by the bad guys to turn a report in, supervised by the people that are hiring them. Boy, there's a lot of credibility going to come out of this report. But if they don't have the person who is identified on the voicemail and let everybody know who it is, then I don't believe anything in this investigation. No matter what way it comes down.
You've got this totally wrong in comparing Mueller to Free, and here's why. Not because there's I don't know Mueller enough to know if he's as much a whore as Louis Free or not, but here's the main.
Well, you didn't know Louis Free was until he turned out his report.
Hold on. Let me explain where I'm coming from. There's a huge difference. In Penn State, you have the people, essentially the owners, the Penn State Board of Trustees, hiring Free to come up with a conclusion that the media they know is going to support. Here you have Joe Paterno, i.e. Goodell, who works for the owners, ordering an investigation by Mueller where he is fully expecting that the outcome is going to be something the media is not going to support. That's totally different. You can get away with a lie when you have a media hurricane behind your back like Louis Free did.
Wait a minute. How do you know what Roger Goodell expects the outcome of the investigation to be?
No. But now you are acting like an anti-Penn Stater. You're saying that no matter what,
I'm asking you, how do you know? I'm asking you, how do you know what Roger Goodell thinks the outcome of the investigation is going to be? That's an asinine statement. How do you know? Did we lose him?
Yeah, I'm. How do we know what? You broke up on me in there.
How do you know what Roger Goodell thinks the outcome of the investigation is going to be?
He wouldn't do the probe. He was not forced into hiring Mueller and the two most respected owners in the NFL to oversee an independent investigation. If he was, we would know that. We would have reports out by now that NFL owners forced Goodell into creating this independent investigation. It was Goodell's idea. He did it immediately.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a minute. I don't buy that for a minute. I don't buy that it was his idea for a minute. And he didn't do anything immediately. The tape had been discovered, and it was a few days later that all of a sudden there's an investigator being named. And by the way, while we're at it, talk about the wolf in the hen house. This so-called independent investigator that's being hired by the NFL works for the law firm, is a partner at the law firm that does NFL business on behalf of the NFL. They have other lawyers from that law office who've been promoted, quote-unquote, to big jobs with NFL teams. This is the same law firm that represents Daniel Snyder and negotiated for the NFL on behalf of the NFL the lucrative DirecTV television deal. So don't give me this independent investigator business.
Hold on a second. Kevin, you don't acknowledge that there's a massive difference. Let's presume I'm right for a second. That when in the end that this probe comes out, they're going to say that there's no evidence Roger Goodell or anyone in the NFL higher office ever saw this tape. Let's just presume that for a second. You've already stated you're not going to believe that no matter what the investigation holds.
I never said any such thing. First of all, I've never said any such thing.
Hold on. Let me finish.
No, you hold on. No, they don't say things I didn't say. I've never said any such thing.
Okay, you implied that. If I misinterpreted, I apologize. But let's go back to the important point. Mueller, if he concludes what I believe he's going to conclude, if he concludes that, he is going to be going into the teeth of a media hurricane, which is the exact opposite of what Louis Freeh was doing. Now, I don't know that there's enough money for anybody with that much prestige, like a former FBI director, to do that. I don't believe it. I'll have to see what the basis of the investigation is, what the facts are that they come up with. But the notion that somehow you are already discrediting this investigation even before it even starts is pretty amazing to me.
Well, that's because you're not paying attention. It's because you're not paying attention to the obvious. You totally act as though this is an independent investigation, and the things that I just cited to you as prima facie evidence that it's not independent, you act like that doesn't exist.
I haven't seen it. I'll take your word for it that those are conflicts of interest. I have no idea to what degree that's reality or not. What I'm telling you is,
you mean I just made it up?
Different. It's very different, Kevin. Very different to come up with a lie and a sham investigation when you're going into a media headwind as opposed to riding a media headwind. And that's the major difference between Louis Freeh and what's going on with the NFL.
The NFL owns the media. Owns them.
Oh, really? I mean, take a look at the media coverage this week.
Owns them. Owns them. Owns them.
But hold on, see, this is where I think another important point you're missing is Roger Goodell of this week is not the same guy he was last week. His balls have basically been cut off.
He lied.
By a thread. No one's afraid of him. If there's anybody in the NFL office that wants him gone and has any information at all, he saw the tape, guess what's going to happen, Kevin? He's gone.
They already did.
That's why we know there was no cover-up at Penn State.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What do you mean if someone in the NFL office says he saw the tape? Someone already did say that. Someone already did say they received the tape and people at the NFL office saw it. That's already been said.
What's their name? What was their position, Kevin? So you're taking the word of an Associated Press reporter who claims to have heard an audio tape from an unnamed person with an unnamed position, and we don't even know what they said. But, no,
I'm telling you is what the allegation is. I know this, that there is no way on this earth that I believe Roger Goodell when he says Ray Rice was ambiguous when he met with him. I don't believe that for 1 second. And by the way, if you do, you're the only person who does. You're the only person who does. So that means I know of at least 2 instances this week where Roger Goodell's word means nothing. So I follow that logic. Into this.
Not fair.
I know. No, it's very fair. He reneged on a deal that he made. That's number one. Number two, he claims that Ray Rice was ambiguous in their discussion. I don't believe that for a second. And by the way, there are 4 unrelated sources who say the same thing. Ray Rice hasn't said anything because he's smart, but he knows. Thirdly, as a result of those 2 lies that I know are lies, I wouldn't believe a word he says about having seen or not having seen the tape originally. So I don't believe him. It has nothing to do what the AP says or anybody else. It has to do with Roger Goodell's integrity being gone.
Okay, I find it amazing, considering your position on the Penn State case, that you're taking that's the exact philosophy that everyone used with Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky. I presume I know what happened, therefore I don't believe anything they say. And therefore
how can you even say something that idiotic? How do you even come up with something that idiotic? That has no comparison to anything with regard to Penn State. I am telling you he lied twice. Therefore, as a third lie coming up, is he telling the truth or not? My guess is no. And I base that on his previous 2 lies, not on anything else that anybody said. It's on Roger Goodell not being honest and not being truthful and not being a man of honor and a man of his word. That's where I base my belief that he saw the tape and he's lying about it.
Right, well, I just want to make sure it's very clear. First of all, I hate Goodell. I hope he's gone. Second of all, I'm only talking about the issue of whether or not he saw the tape, which I do not believe there's any logic at all to explain his actions since Monday.
There's never logic to explain guys' actions when they're covering their rear ends. People panic.
If he was covering his rear end, he wouldn't have done the interview on Tuesday, and he wouldn't have suspended Rice indefinitely within 3 hours because he would have spent some time making sure he knew there was no evidence that, out there that he had seen the tape, and he wouldn't call for an independent probe by a former FBI director.
What? How's he going to find out? How's he going to find out? How is he going to find out that no one knows he saw the tape? How's he going to find that out? He's never going to find that out.
What do you mean? He could have found out what the tape. Did anybody send a voicemail message saying that the NFL got the tape?
Oh, and so you're of the opinion that the person who did that would say, "Yes, Roger, it was me. I'm the one who hung you out to dry. Should I resign now?"
Kevin, he didn't even try to find out.
How do you know?
There was no time to try to
How
find
do
out
you? What do you mean there was no time?
Like that.
What do you mean there was no time? There was plenty of time.
Like 3 hours on a Monday.
3 hours? You don't think Roger Goodell could, in 3 hours' time, call a meeting at the NFL office of every employee and say, "Did anyone know of the existence of this tape here?" You don't think he could do that in 3 hours?
Hold on a second. You're presuming then they didn't see the tape.
No,
Because
that's
if
your
he had
theory.
seen the tape,
No,
if he
that's
had
your
seen the-
theory. Your theory is he didn't have enough time. I say that's a load of crap.
But hold on a second. What you're saying only makes sense if he didn't see the tape, because if he had seen it, one, he's then engaged in a cover-up, and that would be known by now, because anybody in the office who wants him gone knows his last testicle is hanging by a thread. So why hasn't that happened?
Yeah, you're
It
very
hasn't happened
naive to
because
think.
it
If you
didn't
think
occur.
that someone in an underling in the NFL office thinks they can finish Roger Goodell off, you're more
Oh my
naive.
God.
You are more naive than anybody I know.
All it takes is one email. One email at this point. Goodell is gone. I mean, the media is thirsting.
Who said he has an
evidence that he
email
lied on the
admitting to
tape.
seeing the tape? I mean, you presume all of this crap. I mean, I can presume that he's Santa Claus too if I want to. I'm going by the facts. You're going by presumptions. The facts are he's lied twice. Hold it. He's lied twice, and therefore my deduction is he's most likely lying a third time on the biggest issue of them all that will cause him his job as commissioner. He is not about to tell the truth if he saw that tape. He got caught. He didn't know that anybody else had access to it. That's the guess I'm making, and I base that on 2 previous lies.
Well, one of the lies the only lie I'm sure I understand you're saying is that he lied when he said that Ray Rice didn't tell him what really happened in the elevator. How do you know that's a lie?
Well, I'll go with 4 people that have been corroborated as people who were privy to the conversations. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. Because Goodell, as I said, Goodell has already lied and reneged on his word. So Goodell's word to me means nothing. And here's how you prove cases in court, in case you're not understanding this. When someone has a history of being untruthful, their testimony is considered by a jury or a judge as unreliable. So Roger Goodell is an unreliable witness in this case from the moment forward that he broke his word on an agreement. Nothing else he says can you trust. And if you do, you trust at your own risk.
Kevin, I agree with that, except for the fact that the 2 examples you're giving, one that he reneged on a deal, I think that is actually more consistent with him telling the truth, because he would only renege on the deal if he hadn't seen the tape. And number 2, you're presuming that Ray Rice told him the exact truth in that meeting. I think it's perfectly plausible that Ray Rice could have told Roger Goodell that he hit his wife, but that there were still mitigating circumstances because his wife was standing up for him and claiming she was responsible. So the notion that, that's not inconsistent. It is not inconsistent with him.
It's absolutely
having never
inconsistent.
seen the tape. And
It's absolutely inconsistent.
Yeah,
nobody's going to sit there and buy into a female telling me, by the way, he knocked me out because I was slapping him or I spit on him. So he knocked me out. So please forgive him because I'm the one who was to blame here. Sorry, I don't buy it. As
a white male liberal, Roger Goodell was very susceptible to being sucked in by Janae Rice's pleading for mercy to Ray Rice, I believe.
I don't believe that for a second. That's illogical and totally illogical.
I respect you enormously on this, which is why I wanted to have this debate, because I honestly don't understand where the other side's coming from. I hope we'll be able to talk about this again once the investigation does, in fact, exonerate Roger Goodell, at least on this tape issue.
You mean the investigation by?
Tell me why I'm wrong there.
You mean the investigation done by people that he's paying millions of dollars to do it?
Well,
you mean that investigation?
Hurricane,
you mean that investigation?
To have their reputation is destroyed if they come up with an investigation that doesn't.
It would have been very simple. It would have been very simple if the NFL. So here's the last word. Here's the last word. If the NFL wanted a truly independent investigation, it would have been very simple to hire a prominent law firm anywhere in this country that doesn't have ties to the NFL. That would have been simple, and that would have been transparent. This is not. This
Kevin,
is not.
I'll take it. Kevin, I agree with you on that one. If that's in fact what you're saying is true, I totally agree with you on that.
Well, if it isn't true, I must have made it up.
Well, I'm just saying I haven't seen it. I'm not saying you're telling me. I'm not.
Well, do your homework. Do your homework, and you'll find out.
All right.
All right, John.
Kevin, I love you and trust you. I still very much disagree on this, and I hope that we'll talk about it again sometime.
We will. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Have a good weekend.
That's John Ziegler from FramingPaterno.com. We got to take a break. We're a little bit behind. This is the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court.
The battle will rage on all day this Saturday on The Landing in 7 different locations as bands from all over St. Louis try to be the champion. Big Daddies, Heartbreakers, Show Me's, Hannigan's, Marcel's, Morgan Street, and Joey B's will all host bands throughout the day with great drink specials that will last from 11 a.m. until midnight. Come out to The Landing Saturday, September 13th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight, and see the best local live music in the STL, brought to you by Jim Beam, Kentucky Fire, Pinnacle Vodka, and Sauza Blue Tequila.
This is Dr. Eddie Weller
and Lisa Jenkins,
host of Getting Weller. Join us Saturday at noon on AM 590 as we help you jump life's hurdles. Remember, life is not about being better. It's about getting Weller. Hey, fantasy football fans, football season is heating up. And who doesn't love the excitement of picking your team? It's probably the best part of the season. Well, get this. You can do that any week when you play in 1-week fantasy football leagues at FanDuel.com. This is next-level fantasy football. Every week is a whole season at FanDuel. You play for real money, and winners get immediate cash payouts. There's no season-long commitment, so you only play when you want. Plus, you can play in fantasy football leagues for as little as $1. Nothing beats the excitement of living out a whole season of fantasy football in just 1 week. Every week is a chance to win big at FanDuel. And right now, FanDuel is giving you up to $200 free. For every dollar you deposit, FanDuel will match it up to $200. But hurry, offer ends this Friday. The only way to get up to $200 free is to go to FanDuel.com, click the microphone in the upper right corner, and enter the promo code FOOTBALL75. That's FANDUEL.com, promo code FOOTBALL75.
I'm Kathy Cutis, part of the 4th generation of the Tom Cutis family. The Cutis family is here to personally guarantee that when the time arrives for funeral arrangements, no one will be pressured to make decisions that would not fit your family needs. Our trained, licensed funeral directors will answer your questions and you make the decisions. If you feel you are in a situation that does not give you the time to decide what is best for your family, you are in the wrong place. Contact Cutis Funeral Homes, affordability with dignity for over 100 years.
This is Andrew Grass of the Average Joe Sports Show on 590 The Man. If you're tired of waking up Sunday morning and listening to some old fart spouting when I was a kid stories, then listen to the Average Joe Sports Show on Sunday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m. on 590 The Man and 590theman.com. Sports talk for the average Joe by the average Joe.
The USO of Missouri brings you the Red, Rock, and Blue Benefit Concert Sunday, November 16th at the Pageant. Tickets on sale now while they last to see Scotty McCreery along with Danielle Bradbury, country's newest superstars and winner of Season 10's American Idol and The Voice's Season 4. Together, VIP, general admission, and balcony seats. Call Ticketmaster or the Pageant box office today. The Red, Rock, and Blue concert to benefit the USO of Missouri with Scotty McCreery and Danielle Bradbury live at the Pageant Theater Sunday, November 16th.
590 KFNS, Wood River, St. Louis. Sports Talk Radio.
Football season is here. Miller Coors invites you to tailgate with us 3 hours prior to each and every home game. Great food, music, and most important, cold beer. We are in the parking lot directly north of the Dome. Just look for the giant Miller Lite tin. Admission to this party is free and open to the public. Join us Sunday, September 21st at 9 a.m. as the Rams take on the Cowboys. A portion of the proceeds goes to the USO of Missouri. Brought to you by the MLM Law Firm and Complete Supplements.
Are you planning a big night out? Maybe the boys are going to the game. Or maybe it's going to be that night that never happened for your bachelorette party. Then start and end the night right with class and luxury through Jed Transportation. No matter the party size, they've got the ride for you. Sedans, SUVs, limos, Hummers, party buses. Jed Transportation will get the party started before you even get to your destination. Over 50 years of service and a professionally licensed and trained staff. Jed Transportation is there to make your night perfect and that much more memorable. Call 314-429-2200. 314-429-2200. Jed Limousine, 314-429-2200. Or you can go to a legitimate website for a change, jedlimousine.com.
The battle will rage on all day this Saturday on The Landing in 7 different locations as bands from all over St. Louis try to be the champion. Big Daddies, Heartbreakers, Show Me's, Hannigan's, Marcel's, Morgan Street, and Joey B's will all host bands throughout the day with great drink specials that will last from 11 a.m. until midnight. Come out to The Landing Saturday, September 13th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight and see the best local live music in the STL, brought to you by Jim Beam, Kentucky Fire, Pinnacle Vodka, and Sauza Blue Tequila.
I'm Kathy Cutis, part of the 4th generation of the Tom Cutis family. The Cutis family is here to personally guarantee that when the time arrives for funeral arrangements, no one will be pressured to make decisions that would not fit your family needs. Our trained, licensed funeral directors will answer your questions and you make the decisions. If you feel you are in a situation that does not give you the time to decide what is best for your family, you are in the wrong place. Contact Cutis Funeral Homes, affordability with dignity for over 100 years.
Got a traffic ticket? Don't end up in court. Don't end up with points on your license. And don't end up paying higher insurance premiums. Call the lawyers at the Ticket Clinic at the MLM Law Group, the official law firm of 1380. They fight any moving violation, from speeding to a suspended license, even DUIs. In most cases, you don't even have to go to court. They have over a decade of experience and have resolved thousands of cases from only $50 plus costs, if any. An experienced lawyer will go to court for you. And on most civil infractions, they will make sure you end up with no points, no school, and no court. Call the lawyers at the Ticket Clinic at the MLM Law Group at 314-888-5477 or visit them on the web at www.themlmlawgroup.com. Don't pay higher insurance premiums and don't risk your license. Call the Ticket Clinic at the MLM Law Group at 314-888-5477. That's 314-888-5477. Call today.
The battle will rage on all day this Saturday on The Landing in 7 different locations as bands from all over St. Louis try to be the champion. Big Daddies, Heartbreakers, Show Me's, Hannigan's, Marcel's, Morgan Street, and Joey B's will all host bands throughout the day with great drink specials that will last from 11 a.m. until midnight. Come out to The Landing Saturday, September 13th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight and see the best local live music in the STL, brought to you by Jim Beam, Kentucky Fire, Pinnacle Vodka, and Sauza Blue Tequila.
Finally, the holidays are over, and I have a few New Year's resolutions for you to start 2014 off right. When your sex life is great, life seems great, and it's a fact that people who have sexual stimulation 4 or more times a week, according to Oxford University, are happier, more confident, and make more money. You might not be able to have more sex or even have a partner at this time, but the key word was stimulation. Pure pleasure at any of their 5 locations near you in St. Louis, St. Peters, Pevely, St. Charles, Hills and Fairview Heights, Illinois, can help you with a variety of toys, DVDs, and other items to help in this area. Pure Pleasure locations are ready to serve you and have what you need to make 2014 happier and more productive in many ways. There's nothing embarrassing or more natural than sex and the desire for it. And better sex is something Pure Pleasure can help you with today. Stop by any of their 5 area locations or visit PurePleasureSTL.com. PurePleasureSTL.com.
Please remove those hats. You're in the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court on 590 The Main.
And we welcome you back in. Kevin Slayton with you on the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court on this Friday afternoon. Glad you're along for the ride. We thank John Ziegler for visiting with us and talking a little NFL, Roger Goodell. What we didn't know at the time, and we know now because it just came down, is that now Adrian Peterson, the great running back for the Minnesota Vikings, has been indicted by a Texas grand jury on charges of reckless or negligent injury to a child. The charges have been confirmed by his attorney, but that's all we know at this time. I'm wondering if this stems from that case a few years ago where the mother of a child claimed he was the father, and he claimed he didn't even know that he was the father. I thought she was somewhere in South Dakota or something, but I guess she was in Texas. But no matter how you slice it, this isn't good. And it's just, it's one beat after another for the NFL. If I'm Roger Goodell, I might just take my $700 million that I've already made and say, screw this. What do I need this headache for? Where's my house up on Cape Cod? I think I'm heading there. Take a hike, NFL. It's unbelievable. Now, of course, this is an indictment. It doesn't mean anything in terms of truth. But it isn't good. I mean, you'd rather not be indicted. It doesn't make Adrian Peterson guilty of anything, but it is an indictment on reckless or negligent injury to a child. I've always been a believer that if you're ever convicted of that, or in any way convicted of rape or child molestation, those are the worst crimes anyone can commit, because they're crimes of demented people. Harming a child or raping a woman. To me, you're such a, well, misfit's a compliment. You're such a derelict that you don't even belong alive. I believe those should be death penalty cases. When it comes to harming a child, raping a woman, those should be death penalty cases. And in some places, I'm sure they are, depending on the severity of it. 314-399-8923. Our good friends at Taco Bell have the quesarito. You're out there driving around on a Friday, you don't feel like going back to work, head to Taco Bell. So many locally owned operations of Taco Bell in our area. I'll get into some of the locations here in a few minutes, but that new quesarito is phenomenal. So is the $1 Crave menu. 11 different items on the Taco Bell menu for $1. $1. Yes, sir. Hey, by the way, they've got all the great old-time favorites that you have, the soft and hard shell tacos, the bean burrito, the taco salad. Those remain on the menu, and then they innovate, like the quesarito, the Doritos Locos Tacos a couple of years ago, the classic Taco Bell on the inside. Shell made of real nacho cheese. Ooh, Doritos. The Cool Ranch Doritos Tacos. And they've got several versions of them now. All of this, folks, comes with that wonderful Breakfast Club menu that Taco Bell has, 6 a.m. every morning. Spectacular steak and egg burrito, the waffle taco, the AM crunch wrap, the AM grilled taco, the sausage flatbread melt, the regular breakfast burrito. So well that all the Ronald McDonald's in this country are telling us they eat at Taco Bell. Why wouldn't they? That McDonald's breakfast is crap. Hey, the Cinnabon Delights. How about that? I always tell people, if you want to make good at your work, stop by Taco Bell for breakfast, grab a whole bunch of orders of Cinnabon Delights, take them in for the office. They'll not only thank you, they'll promote you. You're so popular. Ray is up first. Welcome to the show, Ray. How are you?
Oh, carpe diem, King.
Carpe diem.
Yes, and I just popped another top on a PBR, of course.
An ice cold PBR on a Friday. Is anything better?
Nothing except for the chili I'm making.
Oh, my gosh. Chili and ice cold PBR? You are my hero.
Thank you, sir. I had a question about what about the fact that it seems like Harbaugh has fallen out of favor with the 49ers, and this may be his last year. Okay.
Why do you say that?
Having said that, what would be the possibility that after this dismal Rams season, that Fisher gets canned and they bring Harbaugh over?
Well, first of all, why do you say Harbaugh's fallen out of favor with the 49ers? Just because he and his general manager don't see eye to eye on everything? I don't think that's true anywhere.
Okay, I mean, I'm just going by what other news agencies have said.
Well, you can't go by that because they're in the middle of trying to negotiate an extension on his contract. So you're going to always have these kinds of things pop up. But I don't think Jim Harbaugh's going anywhere.
Yeah. And the other thing about it too is another thing I was thinking about is about this Goodell deal. When you talk about the NFL league, you're talking about the owners, and the owners love him. Huh? Why are they going to get rid of him?
Well, they're only going to get rid of him if it's proven that he lied. If he lied, he won't have anybody's support among the ownership group because you can't. Right. You can't. If it's proven that he lied about the tape or about this ambiguous nature of Ray Rice's comments to him, if it's proven that he lied, he's got to go. You can't have a guy running your sport that is a proven liar. I already think his credibility may be damaged beyond reproach because of reneging on an agreement. Any player out there would scream bloody murder on any suspension that Goodell hands down, wondering, hey, is this really the suspension, or are you going to go back on it in a couple of weeks if somebody doesn't like it?
Yeah, with that lifetime suspension, and then first he started out with a two-game suspension, and then he goes on to a lifetime suspension.
Well, he said there's a 6-game suspension for a first offense now, at least 6 games, and lifetime for a second offense that you could apply for reinstatement after a year, which of course means it's not lifetime.
Right. Okay, Kev, you're great as always.
Thank you, Ray.
Talk to you later.
Appreciate it. Enjoy that PBR and that chili. Chili's a great idea on a day like today. I'll have to stop and get some of that on my way home, too. Or make some. I don't know if I can make it. I'm not sure. I make mean macaroni and cheese. A box of Kraft. 399-8923. Those are our number. That's our number. That's the lines open for you. So much is going on here. The Goodell situation, obviously. So here's what bothers me, and I guess John didn't follow it or isn't aware of it yet. He will be. This law firm and Robert Mueller, who is a former FBI director and a partner in this law firm, negotiated for the NFL against DirecTV. Represents Daniel Snyder and other owners. Lots of members of this law firm have gone on to prominent positions with NFL teams. It's amazing that they would go out and hire these people. You're having the wolf into the hen house. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't make sense. You can have your pick of any law firm in this country to actually do an independent investigation. I don't think the NFL wants anything to do with an independent investigation. They want everything to do with something that'll come back favorable. I'm never a big fan of A, hiring someone to investigate you, but B, hiring someone that you already pay vast amounts of money to for other work. How could anyone take the results of this seriously unless it actually does come back that Goodell had access to the tape? But if it comes back that Roger Goodell's literally clean in all of this, who's going to buy that? You'd have to be so naive to buy into that. So this investigation is flawed from the outset. We'll see how it goes and what evidence they unearth. But why would you put yourself in that position if you're the NFL? Hire a truly independent law firm to investigate. I guess people don't get that. They don't seem to see that. Eric is up next. Welcome, Eric, to the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kingsport. How are you today?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Hey, I just wanted to bring up one thing to you, and I haven't heard anybody address this. Maybe they have, or maybe you have. But one thing that puzzles me about the whole situation is, initially, obviously, he came out with a 2-game suspension, which was way too light. He admitted that himself. So, in the meantime, through all that, he enforced this new rule that it was going to be a minimum of 6 games. Obviously, with him having the ability to change that too. But with that being said, and then after that happened, why wouldn't he just make Ray Rice serve a 6-game suspension rather than an indefinite one? Because that was the rule that he put in place anyway.
Well, the rule was at least 6, so he could make it indefinite if he wants to. But the reason I believe, Eric, is because of the massive public outcry. He had to do something that looked good on his part. The 2-game suspension had already damaged him mightily, and so to my way of thinking, as soon as that outcry became so loud and so widespread that he wanted to do damage control, and by doing damage control, he'd just punish Ray Rice and hope everybody goes away.
So you think he essentially panicked and then kind of overcorrected with that, and then obviously things that all spiraled downhill from there?
Yeah, I think things began to spiral downhill for him when he reneged on the deal to begin with. What he should have done when he gave the 2-game suspension was held a news conference after people screamed and yelled about it then, and said, here's why I did this. Now, you may not agree with me, and you may have a difference of opinion, but this is why I did it. And perhaps people would have taken him at his word, because at that point, there was no reason not to. And there would have been critics, but at least he would have explained his decision. Instead, he just stayed in his cocoon while all the barbs were being thrown at him, and then issues this letter a week or two later, 3 weeks later, however long it was, to the other owners saying he got it wrong, blah, 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 and here's our new punishment. Well, why do that? Why not come out publicly and say, hey, I did it for this reason, and this reason. I may be wrong. In the future, we're going to correct it, but here's why I did it. His lack of explanation, I think, is what hurts him. And then to renege on the deal destroys his credibility, certainly with the players.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think that when this all came about, he probably didn't, I guess, put it as high on the priority list as he should have. He didn't think that it was going to end up being this big of a story, but
Agreed.
It just kind of was one of those things that never went away. I'm on your side. I listened to that whole discussion between you and John. I thought you made some fair points, but overall, I think that you trumped him with a little more logic, so I kind of tend to side with you that he did see the video. But, those are my thoughts. Don't take any more of your time. I appreciate the time. Have a good weekend.
I appreciate you calling in, Eric. Thank you. You have a good weekend, too. As if there's such a thing as a bad weekend. Probably isn't, is there? I mean, are there really bad weekends? Probably not. Your worst weekend is better than your best day at work, isn't it? Yes, sir. Ice cold PBR flowing. Football and ice cold PBR. The beer, folks. The beer that passes muster on international beer tasting competitions all over the world. Made up of brewmasters and the general public. Those are the blind beer tasting panels that are ranking Pabst Blue Ribbon gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal. All around the world. It's the best tasting and the best priced beer out there. And do what I did. Put your beer down for 2 weeks. Try PBR. See what you think. For 2 weeks with an open mind, I bet you'll come back thinking what I do. Best tasting beer, but I know that I'll save you money. That's a fact. The original red, white, and blue, the original since 1844. That's Pabst Blue Ribbon with an award-winning ribbon as its logo. It ain't bragging if you can do it. That's what we always say, right? Are we going to take a break, Owen? Yes, we do. This is the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kingsport. We're coming right back with more after this.
Hot Shots in Arnold, and now Webster Groves is the place for all the games all the time. Hot Shots in Arnold and Webster Groves is your place for all your upcoming NFL action and, of course, our Redbirds. NASCAR in full swing, and now is the time to form your fantasy football leagues, and Hot Shots is the perfect meeting place. Hot Shots has the best food and drink specials to make the games as fun as being there. Looking for a perfect place for lunch? Well, Hot Shots will get you in and back to work fast after a fantastic lunch. Get caught up on your sports while you have a great view of the beautiful servers as well as the games. It's always a party every day at Hot Shots in Arnold and Webster Groves. Hot Shots gives you every reason to hang out and enjoy yourself with golden tea, bags, beer pong, foosball, darts, and all kinds of other games. Hot Shots in Arnold and Webster Groves has the game on 30 large HD TVs and the massive 105-inch screen, so you always have the best view. Hot Shots in Webster Groves at Watson and Laclede Station Road. Hot Shots in Arnold is at 131 Arnold Crossroads Center, close to 55 and Jeffco Roads. Hot Shots in Arnold or Webster Groves, all the games, all the time.
We all realize the economy has been on a downturn. Jobs are scarce and money is not easy to come by. That's why it is now more important than ever to use locally owned and operated businesses. I'm Karen Cutis, and at Cutis Funeral Home, we realize keeping St. Louis money in St. Louis strengthens our economy. Cutis Funeral Home is St. Louis owned and operated, employing over 100 St. Louisans in our area and putting money back into our community. Cutis Funeral Home. Affordability with dignity since 1910.
Hey, fantasy football fans, football season is heat up. And who doesn't love the excitement of picking your team? It's probably the best part of the season. Well, get this. You can do that any week when you play in one-week fantasy football leagues at FanDuel.com. This is next-level fantasy football. Every week is a whole season at FanDuel. You play for real money, and winners get immediate cash payouts. There's no season-long commitment, so you only play when you want. Plus, you can play in fantasy football leagues for as little as $1. Nothing beats the excitement of living out a whole season of fantasy football in just 1 week. Every week is a chance to win big at FanDuel. And right now, FanDuel is giving you up to $200 free. For every dollar you deposit, FanDuel will match it up to $200. But hurry, offer ends this Friday. The only way to get up to $200 free is to go to FanDuel.com, click the microphone in the upper right corner, and enter the promo code Football75. That's FanDuel.com, promo code Football75.
In the sports world, a good offense starts with a good defense. The professionals at Lakeside Roofing believe in this same motto for your roof. Our full-time service department provides the defense to ensure that you get the most out of your roof system. A regular schedule of roof assessment and maintenance will ensure that your roof will hold up to harsh environment, particularly spring wind and hail, as well as the overall aging process. Included in the inspection is a personalized preventive maintenance program specific to your roof system. This defensive strategy can extend the life of your commercial or residential roof for many years. Choose the winning team of professionals at Lakeside Roofing. We're a family-owned business that has built a solid reputation for excellent service from the initial call to the completed job. Call us today at 618-344-2800 or 314-241-5253 or visit us on the web at lakesideroofing.com. That's lakesideroofing.com. Choose experience. Choose Lakeside.
The deals are heating up at Munganess Motorsports just in time for hunting season. Right now, take advantage of special 3.49% fixed APR financing on all new Honda ATVs. Check out our Honda Off-Road Country showroom as well as our wide selection of accessories and safety gear. Family owned since 1965, Munganess Motorsports, located at 5935 South Lindbergh Boulevard, right behind Munganess St. Louis Honda, about a mile north of I-55. Visit us online at MunganessMotorsports.com. Honda recommends utility ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all ATV riders take a training course. Special 3.49 fixed APR financing available for well-qualified buyers. Not all buyers may qualify. Bonus bucks given with select new and unregistered models. See dealer for complete program details. Now, all rise. You're in the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court on 590 The Main.
We welcome you back into the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. Kevin Slate with you on a Friday afternoon. Glad you're around for the day. So far, as we've been on the air, Hawks general manager Danny Ferry has taken a leave of absence after the tape surfaced of him talking during the scouting session. in which he originally said he was simply reading a scouting report, but the taped audio of him sounded differently. The Vikings' Adrian Peterson has been indicted on child neglect or child injury by a Texas grand jury. We don't know any more details on that. And the Carolina Panthers say that Greg Hardy will continue to play, even though he's been convicted of domestic abuse during the pendency of his appeal, which is scheduled to go to court November 17th. And apparently in North Carolina, an appeal of this type of an issue is a jury trial. It's not a jury trial. In Missouri, you have an appellate court that decides it, a panel of 3 judges. But in North Carolina, apparently, he's getting a second trial as if there wasn't a first trial. I don't get that at all. That's very bizarre. Jim is up first. Welcome, Jim, to the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. How are you?
Hey, thank you very much, Kevin. Hey, can you refresh my memory? Is Mr. Rice here getting worse punishment than the NFL players who killed people with their automobile while they were drinking?
No question. Well, I don't know about worse because Ray Rice's suspension is indefinite, but it certainly could end up being worse. And you've got a Dallas Cowboy player who was so drunk he had a terrible accident, killed his teammate, and after he served his jail time, he's now allowed to play later this year.
Right. And didn't they happen to a guy in St. Louis also?
You're talking about Leonard Little. Yeah. I don't know I can't remember if Leonard Little was suspended or not. I don't recall. I know that he got, from the criminal justice system, he got the same thing that any first-time offender would have gotten. But as far as what the NFL did, I don't recall. I'm going to look that up. That's a good question.
I don't think they did anything, and he went back and played again.
I don't recall him being suspended. I have to agree with you. But Owen's checking it for us right now. I don't recall that.
Yeah.
You might.
In your opinion, Kevin, is this a little bit out of control when the NFL gets involved in this thing first?
What do you mean gets involved in it first? What do you mean?
Well, when they get involved, and they don't let the criminal justice system work. If the lady doesn't report the crime, doesn't want to prosecute, how can they be involved without knowing the facts? Well,
I've said that. Chet Fleeman and I were discussing that the other day. Chet is of the other opinion, that he believes that you do your investigation while the state is doing theirs, and if you come up with enough evidence to support a suspension, you suspend him before the state even carries out their process. I disagree with that. I think the prosecution and the police have much vaster resources than the NFL does in terms of investigating these things. And so I think as a commissioner, I wouldn't want to do anything until I heard from the state if they were going to prosecute or not, because if they exonerate him and I've suspended him for 10 games, I probably end up looking like an idiot.
Right. I think that's absolutely correct. Kevin, we appreciate what you do. We appreciate your comments. And you know what? You're one of the few people around with common sense anymore.
Well, I appreciate that very much, Jim. It's scary, but I'm afraid it's starting to become true.
Yeah, it's very scary. And the bad part about it is I don't see it going backwards.
No, I agree with you. This genie is out of the bottle, has left the beach.
Yeah, you're right. You have a good day, sir. Thank you so much for your time and what you're doing for the radio, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate you taking part in it. Owen, what'd you find out?
Leonard Little was inactive for the preseason. He was put on a non-injury reserve list because of the incidents. And then once he was convicted, the NFL gave him an 8-game suspension.
So he did have a suspension, a half season. Okay. So there it is. And we can assume that Ray Rice's suspension is going to be longer than that. So by indefinite, I don't think much is going to happen with him getting signed by another team for at least midseason. So I'm going to guess his suspension will last longer than Leonard Little's did. And it's troubling that Ray Rice was given originally a 2-game suspension while Josh Gordon was banned for a year for smoking pot. Now, I know it was a multiple offense on Josh Gordon's part.
I love weed, okay? I love it.
Thank you, Josh. And we appreciate your love for weed. But if it's against the law and you know you're going to get suspended, why do you keep doing it?
I love weed.
Okay.
I love it.
He loves it. At least he's honest.
I love weed. Okay? I love it.
We get it, Josh. He loves his weed. So he's out for a year for smoking weed, which is legal in some states. Had he been playing for the Broncos, maybe he wouldn't be suspended. But he is. And so he got a year, and Ray Rice got 2 games for knocking his fiancée out. That's where Roger Goodell somehow went off the railroad tracks. And that's why I said my wish was always that Goodell would come up and explain himself with that original 2-game suspension, because I think people wanted to hear that. And he failed miserably by not explaining that decision. Here's a decision that you'll never fail making. Go to Stumpy's House of Barbecue. Go there tonight. It's Friday. It's the weekend. You got football games coming up. Stock your house with Stumpy's House of Barbecue. Everything hickory smoked and slow cooked. You can dine in if you'd like. Get a carry out or they'll deliver. But get your house ready for the weekend with barbecue that you don't have to cook. Let Stumpy's in St. Peter's do it for you. 636-441-7222. 636-441-7222. 620 Jungerman Road in St. Peter's. And by the way, there's a big fight tomorrow night, the Mayweather fight. So if you've got people coming over for that, Stumpy's House of Barbecue can take care of it for you. Get a bunch of their smoked chicken wings. They're the finest smoked chicken wings I've ever had. Stumpy's skins, their nachos, fried pickles, fried green beans, great salads, great barbecue sandwiches, including the Stumpy's special sandwich. That's a tender pulled pork or chicken smothered in their famous Stumpy's original barbecue sauce and topped with their special coleslaw. Ooh. How about barbecue by the pound or ribs by the half slab, full slab, chicken by the half, chicken whole chicken, ice cold beer for your party, barbecue plates for lunch or dinner. Each of them comes with a garlic bread and any two of the following. Fries, fried corn cobettes, Stumpy's beans, coleslaw, potato salad, green beans, Mom's applesauce, cheese fries, sweet potato fries. It's all at Stumpy's House of Barbecue. 620 Jungerman Road in St. Peter's, 636-441-7222. Back with more of the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court right after this.
PT's brings a whole new twist to auto racing. Now, listen up, even if you're not a racing fan, because this might pique your interest a little more. Friday, September 26th through Sunday the 28th, PT's in Sojay has modified their own class of specialty branded race cars for an unforgettable racing experience. Watch who finishes first. It's only the beginning with this racing at PT Sports Cabaret in Sojay. It's a finish line you have never seen before, and who makes the victory lap will be the true special moment. Come out to PT's 5 minutes from the arch for racing like you've never seen before.
This is Andrew Grass of the Average Joe Sports Show on 590 The Man. If you're tired of waking up Sunday morning and listening to some old fart spouting when I was a kid stories, then listen to the Average Joe Sports Show on Sunday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m. on 590 The Man and 590theman.com. Sports talk for the Average Joe by the Average Joe.
And now, St. Louis Glass and Door reminds everyone to show support to our troops, veterans, and first responders this September 11th. Thank you for your service. This salute comes from our area's premier glass and door specialists. For all your residential glass replacement, safety glass, patio doors, insulated glass, and more, give them a call at 314-608-8101. 314-608-8101. That's St. Louis Glass and Door.
The battle will rage on all day this Saturday on The Landing in 7 different locations as bands from all over St. Louis try to be the champion. Big Daddies, Heartbreakers, Show Me's, Hannigan's, Marcel's, Morgan Street, and Joey B's will all host bands throughout the day with great drink specials that will last from 11 a.m. until midnight. Come out to The Landing Saturday, September 13th, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight, and see the best local live music in the STL, brought to you by Jim Beam Kentucky Fire, Pinnacle Vodka, and Sauza Blue Tequila.
Bistro 1130 Mediterranean Cuisine, located at 1130 Town and Country Crossings Drive. Dine in or carry out authentic Moroccan cuisine. The chef's new seasonal Mediterranean-inspired menu for lunch and dinner takes a fresh approach at combining flavors from France, Spain, and Italy, and Morocco. Unwind at the Bistro 1130 and take in the ambiance with fresh and savory Moroccan-style appetizers and exceptional cocktail happy hour specials. At the Bistro Mediterranean Cuisine, reserve your special table today at 636-394-1130. 636-394-1130. Bistro 1130 Mediterranean Cuisine.
Pressure in sports is all part of the game. The home team putting pressure on the opposing team and coming out victorious. But being pressured into something you don't need or want is an entirely different thing. If you have ever been in a situation where you have been pressured to buy, you will understand what I am about to say. There are numerous funeral homes in our area, all looking for your business. Many have quotas that must be met in both dollars and volume, and this can mean pressure. In actuality, many of their funeral directors are just salespeople who are required to sell a certain amount or lose their position. At Cutest Funeral Home, we have no quotas, and because we are locally owned, we have no outside expenses that must be met. This means when you come to Cutest, you will never, ever be pressured into something you don't need or want. I'm Kim Cutest, and I personally guarantee you that at Cutest Funeral Homes, you will never feel pressure.
Locally owned and operated Cutest Funeral Homes with 3 locations, South City, Hampton, and South County.
You've just been arrested for drunk driving. What do you do? A conviction for drunk driving may lead to jail time, a license suspension, heavy fines, and cancellation of your insurance. You have questions, and the lawyers at MLM Law Group have the answers. You need representation by lawyers dedicated to protecting your rights and your driving privileges. Call the lawyers at MLM Law Group at 314-888-5477 today, because there's no such thing as a minor DUI arrest under today's strict laws. Giving in and pleading guilty to a DUI is a decision many people later regret. Don't let a bad decision today affect your family, your career, and your finances tomorrow. Call the MLM Law Group, the official lawyers of 590 and 1380, at 314-888-5477, or visit them on the web at themlmlawgroup.com. If you've been arrested for a DUI, let them put their experience and dedication to work for you. Protect your rights and protect your license. Call the MLM Law Group today at 314-888-5477. That's 314-888-5477. Call today. The USO of Missouri brings you the Red, Rock, and Blue Benefit Concert Sunday, November 16th at the Pageant. Tickets on sale now while they last to see Scotty McCreery along with Danielle Bradbury, country's newest superstars and winner of Season 10's American Idol and The Voice's Season 4. Together. VIP, general admission, and balcony seats. Call Ticketmaster or the Pageant box office today. The Red, Rock, and Blue Concert to benefit the USO of Missouri with Scotty McCreery and Danielle Bradbury live at the Pageant Theater Sunday, November 16th. Sit up straight. You are in the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court on 590 The Man.
We welcome you back in. Kevin Slayton with you in the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court on this wonderful Friday afternoon. And our town has the 2 largest boot stores in the world, in case you didn't know. Both of them are called the same thing, Chuck's Boots. One is in Fenton on Gravois. The other's in St. Peter's on Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, just off of Highway 70. Each of them has between 40,000 and 50,000 pairs of boots. But they also have something you may not know about. And that is women's fashion jeans. All the top brands, Miss Me, Rock Revival, Silver Jean Company. And Chuck's Boots has guaranteed the lowest prices on women's fashion jeans. Thousands of pairs in stock. Not a few, like the jean stores or the department stores. Hard enough to find your size, almost impossible. But Chuck's Boots has it. And the lowest price. All kinds of boots. Work boots, western boots, motorcycle boots, uniform boots, hiking boots. All the top brands, popular styles, all the accessories, work jackets, work bibs, work pants, work shirts, over 10,000 pairs of women's cowboy boots alone, and western shirts, western jeans, hats, belts, jewelry, the largest selection of motorcycle bags, chaps, jackets, vests, and helmets in town. It's all happening at Chuck's Boots, the 2 largest boot stores in the world, one in Fenton on Gravois, the other in St. Peter's on Mid-Rivers Mall Drive, just off of Highway 70. Bill is up first in the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. Hello, Bill. Hello, Bill. Bill, are you there?
Oh, hello.
Yes, go ahead,
Hello.
Bill. Go ahead.
Okay, hey, Kevin, it's nice to be able to get in contact with you again. Hey, the last time I talked to you was a while back. I forgot to ask you how Troy was doing.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I appreciate you asking. He's doing great, as a matter of fact. He and I are heading up to Derek Jeter's last game of the season, his last game, as it looks like, in his career up in Boston in a couple of weeks.
Oh, good. All right. Hey, now I really have nothing to add to the conversation. I had trouble getting through some weeks back. I just wanted to thank you for dropping the sports for a while and covering Ferguson. I do appreciate that. I thought that was a great thing. There were enough sports shows covering the sports. And although I like to listen to sports, at the end of the day, I felt it was very important to have the coverage on what was going on in Ferguson at the time, and I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. It was my pleasure, and I thought it was important enough to deal with that as well.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I need a new phone or something. I'm starting to lose you again. Hey, you take care now. Have a good weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate the call. 314-399-8923. By the way, you can go now on YouTube and type in King's Court with Kevin Slayton, and you can have a live audio stream, and, of course, archives are there, too, so you can listen to previous shows and previous things we've done. So just go to the Google King's Court with Kevin Slayton. It's on YouTube. And Owen has done a wonderful job of setting that up. Here's the latest on Adrian Peterson. Montgomery County in Texas has indicted him. And they've indicted him on charges of reckless or negligent injury to a child. They say they received the case earlier this year. Peterson has cooperated with them. He's not been arrested at this time. The Vikings say they're in the process of gathering information about it. Peterson did practice today. They play the Patriots on Sunday. It was last October, if you recall. His 2-year-old son died in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I was correct. I knew it was South Dakota. I knew something happened there. But the allegation was the child was assaulted by a man who was dating the boy's mother. Peterson learned only 2 months earlier that he had been the boy's father. The man who assaulted the boy, Joseph Robert Patterson, was charged with murder and manslaughter. So I don't know, how could Peterson be indicted on charges of reckless or negligent injury to a child when there's another person who killed the child? That really sounds odd to me.
That doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't, and especially if Peterson is truthful and didn't know that he was the father of the boy. This is a bizarre case, I got to tell you. Very bizarre. 399-8923 if you want to jump in on any of the stories of the day, and there are a ton of them. It's been hard to keep up. You've got Oscar Pistorius. You've got the NFL and Roger Goodell. You've now got Adrian Peterson. You've got Danny Ferry. The Cardinals are playing tonight against, is it tonight or tomorrow? Might be tomorrow. But they've got Arizona coming up on a 9-game homestand after they had their lead trimmed to 2 games last night on the loss side by losing 3 in a row to the Reds. Pirates won last night. So some bizarre lineup shenanigans by Mike Matheny in Cincinnati contributed mightily to those 3 losses, including giving Yadier Molina the day off. What's that all about? The guy missed 6 weeks. I'm pretty sure he's not tired. He should be catching every game the rest of the way until the Cardinals clinch something. Big chance for Oklahoma and Bob Stoops this weekend. Remember, he has said that the SEC, he and I share this view, the SEC is nowhere near the strongest conference in the bottom. In fact, that's just propaganda. And Stoops gets a chance to prove it again. He plays Tennessee, a young Tennessee team that is off to a 2-0 start, and they play at Oklahoma. So a chance for Oklahoma to make a statement, but certainly Tennessee could make one for the SEC, couldn't they? Yes, they could. Missouri plays Central Florida at Columbia, 11 o'clock kickoff. Central Florida is not the power they were last year, but they lost a heartbreaking last-second opening game 2 weeks ago in Ireland to Penn State. So they'll be chomping at the bit to get on the field after having a week off. I don't know if you saw this story about LaShawn McCoy, the Eagles running back, left a tip for 20 cents on a $61 bill. Now, leave it to the the society we live in today that the owner of the restaurant took a picture of the tip on the bill and then posted it all over the place.
That guy is a jerk.
Yes, he is. And I believe LaShawn McCoy when he says that was because of rude service they received. I can tell you this. I've left a penny before because the woman that waited on us was a complete bitch. So she got what she deserved. I didn't want to leave her nothing because then she might think I forgot. So I left her a penny to make sure she knew what her service was worth. And so my guess is that's what LaShawn McCoy did. That's what he says he did. I find no reason not to take him at his word because there is evidence of other restaurants who've come forward and said he tips well all the time. But imagine an owner of a restaurant who would photograph the receipt and put it all over this social media crap. I'm telling you, if I lived in Philadelphia, I wouldn't frequent that restaurant if I were a starving man. I wouldn't go to that place if I needed a meal to survive. I wouldn't go near that place. What a complete jackwagon that owner of that restaurant is. He's lucky McCoy doesn't come back and pop him one.
Kiss my ass.
And to McCoy's credit, he even said, while the service was horrific, he said the food was good. He could have said the food was crap, which is what I would have said, no matter how good it was, after this nitwit takes a picture of his receipt. Make me vomit. All right, George is up next in the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. Hello, George.
Can you hear me, Kev?
I hear you fine.
Okay, because I'm having trouble hearing you. But, you know, I don't even know where to begin. This whole world is like upside down. And thank God we can listen to you and get a little sound advice and reason. You know what I'm saying?
I sure do.
Besides you being along with Jack Buck and Arthur Godfrey and Jack Carney is the best pitch man I've heard in years, okay? What I like most about you is that you give your callers the opportunity to talk. Where all these other people, they want to be the stars, and their egos are big, and they don't let the person talk when you call them.
That's enough. Get out.
So I appreciate that. Now, with that being said, there's so many topics on the table. I mean, why is it with these football players, we would think, and not all of them, but, you know, the ones that have problems in college that go on to the pros, and we're so surprised they have problems in the pros. You know what you know what I'm saying, Kev?
I'm not sure. Go ahead and repeat that.
In other words, a lot of these players, they have problems when they're playing in college off the field. They either get covered up, they're pampered, etc. They get drafted into the pros, and their behavior is still the same, and everybody seems to be so surprised. They know when they're drafting them, they've got problem childs. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of them are. Yeah, a lot of them are. Now, everybody always thinks if the guy's a good enough player, well, we can fix that. We can control that. We can help him. We can advise him. We can babysit him, basically. But it never seems to work out.
But, you know, Kev, you know, as nutty as the U.S. politics are, et cetera, in the court system, down there where Oscar is at, they seem to be messed up, too. I don't even know what the ruling means as far as he didn't commit the murder, but he is held. You would know that more than I do, but it's pretty hard to believe when you shoot through a door and you're laying next to somebody and they're gone, that you wouldn't know. It's just craziness.
Well, that's not what he claimed. Now, I didn't buy his story. I'm shocked by the verdict, but negligent or culpable homicide is what the charge that he's been found guilty of, and it carries a stiff prison sentence. If you want to go to the top end of the punishment, he could get 15 years. But more than likely, he won't. He'll get a lot less, if any. He also could, at the low end of it, be just getting a suspended sentence, which would mean probation.
Yeah. Now, Kevin, you're a lawyer. Isn't Roger Goodell a lawyer by trade?
I believe he has a legal background, yes.
You know, the guy is not a dummy. We know that. He makes, I heard, $40-some-odd million a year. All right. Now I have trouble believing that he didn't see the tape, but he knows that everybody's watching. If he saw it, I just maybe he didn't see the tape. I'm thinking the guy's not stupid.
Well,
and what you said the other day was very, very insightful. About what he should have come out and said is, look, he talked to these people. The guy told him exactly what he did. And why not say to the public, look, I tried to, maybe it was the wrong thing to do, but I tried to help these people out. And, that would have been, the end of it for him, type of situation. The guy told him he punched his wife out. Why is the second date so important?
But it's not. And that's why, I don't believe Goodell, because his word is in jeopardy to me once he reneged on his original agreement with Ray Rice, absent new evidence. That tape in the elevator is not new evidence. Everyone knew something ugly took place in that elevator. Now, seeing it makes it more graphic, but it's not anything new. Or if it is, if you think it's new, then you shouldn't have suspended him at all, because if you didn't think he hit her, then what are you suspending him for? So everybody knew that he hit her and did something dastardly in the elevator before that tape came out. So Goodell, as I've said many times, should have explained his suspension.
Dragging the woman out and leaving her, that wasn't so good either. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it wasn't good. There's no question about it. I thought that was probably as bad as hitting her, but Goodell's acting as though the tape of her being hit is brand new stuff to him. Well, no, it's not.
Well, I want to make two real quick comments. The Cardinals, it's their season to lose. They're up in front. They got 19 or 18 games left. If they lose, they got no one to blame but themselves. That's the first thing. Now, I want to tell you one thing about the Rams, okay? And this is what you have probably a better insight. When the Rams draft these guys, these linemen, all I got to say is, we have in St. Louis arguably the greatest offensive line coach that has ever coached in the National Football League, Jim Hannafin. Okay? And I point blank asked him one day on the radio about a year ago. Nobody's ever contacted him. He wouldn't go back full time, but he would be consultant. If you're going to draft these linemen and you really want to win, why wouldn't you use that guy's mind? He had the Hogs. And he had a line here for the Cardinals that allowed 7 sacks for the whole season.
The reason they don't call Jim Hannafin is ego. Their ego is massive. Spagnuolo's ego was massive. Spagnuolo banned Hannafin from Rams Park. That's how absurd he was. And Fisher's just as bad. Bring Jim Hannafin in. Let him teach this guy that you drafted from Auburn how to play the offensive line. And he'll break it down from his three-point stance forward. Jim Hannafin is the best offensive line coach that ever lived.
Absolutely.
He's a great guy, and they threw him off the radio because he told the truth. And his stories were unbelievable. What an entertaining guy he is. You know that, Kevin?
He's one of the greatest of all time. Greatest people, greatest coach.
Unbelievable. But anyway, Kev, have a good weekend. Thanks for taking the call. And like I said, it's a real pleasure. You're informative and it's entertaining. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Have a great weekend. Hey, folks, the Ernie Patty Collision Center wants to hear from you. If you have anything wrong with your car, from minor paintless dents to major collision repairs that are needed, or mechanical repairs, from minor to replacement of engines and transmissions. And they'll also do the small stuff, tire and wheel balancing, alignments. They price it right. They're at 4823 Potomac. You can call the Ernie Patty Collision Center at 314-752-0400. They have direct repair for most major insurance companies, a lifetime guarantee on all workmanship and paint. Their paint, they've gone green. They're environmentally friendly. Waterborne paints. At the Ernie Patty Collision Center, you get what we all want. We all want our car back quickly. It's an inconvenience to be without it, and you get it back quickly from the Ernie Patty Collision Center, and you can watch your progress of your repairs online at ErniePattyCollision.com. Gene Statt and his staff have been in the same spot for over 25 years. So they're doing it right. They're pricing it right. at 4823 Potomac, 314-752-0400, the Ernie Patty Collision Center. All right, the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court rolls on right after this.
In the sports world, a good offense starts with a good defense. The professionals at Lakeside Roofing believe in this same motto for your roof. Our full-time service department provides the defense to ensure that you get the most out of your roof system. A regular schedule of roof assessment and maintenance will ensure that your roof will hold up to harsh environment, particularly spring wind and hail, as well as the overall aging process. Included in the inspection is a personalized preventive maintenance program specific to your roof system. This defensive strategy can extend the life of your commercial or residential roof for many years. Choose the winning team of professionals at Lakeside Roofing. We're a family-owned business that has built a solid reputation for excellent service from the initial call to the completed job. Call us today at 618-344-2800 or 314-241-5253. Or visit us on the web at lakesideroofing.com. That's lakesideroofing.com. Choose experience. Choose Lakeside.
590 KFNS, Wood River, St. Louis. Sports Talk Radio.
Hey, fantasy football fans, football season is heating up. And who doesn't love the excitement of picking your team? It's probably the best part of the season. Well, get this. You can do that any week when you play in one-week fantasy football leagues at FanDuel.com. This is next-level fantasy football. Every week is a whole season at FanDuel. You play for real money, and winners get immediate cash payouts. There's no season-long commitment, so you only play when you want. Plus, you can play in fantasy football leagues for as little as $1. Nothing beats the excitement of living out a whole season of fantasy football in just 1 week. Every week is a chance to win big at FanDuel. And right now, FanDuel is giving you up to $200 free. For every dollar you deposit, FanDuel will match it up to $200. But hurry, offer ends this Friday. The only way to get up to $200 free is to go to FanDuel.com, click the microphone in the upper right corner, and enter the promo code FOOTBALL75. That's FANDUEL.com, promo code FOOTBALL75.
This month, Woods Basement Systems is celebrating 28 years in business. That's 28 years of drying up wet basements, cleaning up dirty, moldy crawl spaces, and repairing broken, bowing, and sealing basement foundation walls. If you would like a free estimate, call Woods Basement Systems today at 800-944-8017. That's 800-944-8017, or go online at mywoodsbasement.com. That's mywoodsbasement.com.
PT's brings a whole new twist to auto racing. Now, listen up, even if you're not a racing fan, because this might pique your interest a little more. Friday, September 26th through Sunday the 28th, PT's in Sojay has modified their own class of specialty branded race cars for an unforgettable racing experience. Watch who finishes first. It's only the beginning with this racing at PT Sports Cabaret in Sojay. It's a finish line you have never seen before, and who makes the victory lap will be the true special moment. Come out to PT's 5 minutes from the arch for racing like you've never seen before.
Olivet Diner of St. Louis reminds all motorists to slow down in child-populated areas and school zones. Always keep an extra eye out for the kids and never drink and drive. This safety tip is courtesy of Olivet Diner. For the best food in town and a friendly environment, stop by 9638 Olive Boulevard in St. Louis or call 314-995-9945. That's 314-995-9945. That's Olivet Diner, the professionals. And now, St. Louis Glass and Door reminds everyone to show support to our troops, veterans, and first responders this September 11th. Thank you for your service. This salute comes from our area's premier glass and door specialists. For all your residential glass replacement, safety glass, patio doors, insulated glass, and more. Give them a call at 314-608-8101. 314-608-8101. That's St. Louis Glass and Door.
This is the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC, Kings Court on 590 The Main.
Yes, it is the Pabst Blue Ribbon Gateway Buick GMC, Kings Court. By the way, I went over to Gateway Buick GMC the other day and had my car serviced. Had everything done, as I always tell you, because you can get the concierge service. If you can't get away to get your car serviced, they'll bring a car to you. They'll take yours in and then return it after you can drive theirs while yours is being serviced. Or if you have a GM recall, they'll do the same thing. They'll bring a car to you, take your car, you drive their car while they're working on it, and then they'll bring it back to you. Just call 314-895-1600. 314-895-1600. Ask for Victoria, and you'll get what I got the other day. You'll get the wonderful, and I mean wonderful, full oil lube service, topped off all your fluids, tire rotation, multi-point inspection, all for under $40. Now, if you need new tires, go out and get a price and then give it to Gateway Buick GMC, and they'll meet or beat any price on new tires. They're right where they've always been, in Hazelwood, Highway 270 and McDonald Boulevard. Gateway Buick GMC, we are professional grade. All right, 399-8923 if you want to weigh in. Our Window World rewind of reports of storylines today, brought to you by the good folks at Window World, 314-993-1800. Adrian Peterson indicted by a Texas grand jury on charges of reckless or negligent injury to a child. It all stems from the death of a 2-year-old, I believe it was a little boy 2 years ago. I shouldn't say 2 years old. He said he didn't know it was his child. It was in South Dakota, and the man who they claimed killed the child has been already in jail for murder. So it's a very bizarre story. I'm at a loss, actually, to understand what these charges are when someone else has been charged with murder and manslaughter. It's hard to figure. Yeah, it was a 2-year-old. Yeah, 2 years old. It was last October. It was about a year ago. I remember the story when it came out because Peterson had insisted he had only been informed recently that he was the boy's father. 2 months later, the boy's dead at the hands, they allege, of Joseph Robert Patterson. And now Adrian Peterson is indicted in Texas. It's a very convoluted story, and I just can't follow it right now. There have to be many, many more details released before anybody can figure out what the hell's going on in that one. That's crazy. Chris Davis, the first baseman of the Orioles, who hit 50-something home runs last year, but nowhere near that this year, now has accepted a 25-game suspension for use of amphetamines. That means he misses the remainder of the season and well into the playoffs, depending on how deep the Orioles go. But with Machado out and Davis out, that's 2 big bats out of the Orioles lineup. And they were counting on being able to bash people into submission with their offense. We get the same old apology we always get. I made a mistake by taking Adderall. I had permission to use it in the past, but do not have a therapeutic use exemption this year. Well, what the hell's wrong with you then? Why wouldn't you get a therapeutic use for it or stop using it? Good grief. So you've got Manny Machado out for the year. Now you've got Davis out for the rest of the year. Matt Wieters, their catcher's out for the season. He had Tommy John surgery. Very bizarre that a catcher has that. So I think the Orioles' goose is cooked when it comes to the playoffs. They still have a lot of power. Nelson Cruz, Adam Jones. But this is a guy, Davis, who had this banner year last year. 286 average, 53 home runs, 138 RBIs. Hitting 196 this year, almost 100 points lower, with 26 home runs and 72 RBIs. So my guess is he may have gotten off the juice and onto the amphetamines. Mark is up. Welcome to the show, Mark. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I think that story Adrian Peterson basically was charged with hitting his 11-year-old son with a switch. whooping them with a switch. That's what this all about. It's not his dead child. It's his 11-year-old son that he whooped with a switch. So they're going to indict him there for a reckless injury to a child.
Well, this story is saying it has to do with the 2-year-old that was killed, not an 11-year-old. So I don't, like I said, they're gonna have to be many more facts come out and details come out so that we can know what the heck's going on.
I was just watching Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio, and they said that's what it stems from. That he hit his 11-year-old son with a switch, man. You know. And,
so we've got.
When we was growing up, I got hit with switches and extension cords all the time. So in this society now, you can't hit kids now. That's what it's all about.
Well,
people they gonna press charges against you.
Remember when we got spanked with a paddle? I mean, I remember the spanking paddle, man. I don't know what's going on in this. I don't know what the details are in this case, but I don't know why they're talking about the death of the 2-year-old in connection with this case. So maybe ESPN.com has the story all wrong.
Yeah. I just saw Mike Florio, and that's basically said what it stemmed from, that he hit his 11-year-old son with a switch, basically just a twig or something. And, these kids, you can't hit them now. You can't touch them. First thing they're gonna do is call family services on you, and then they're gonna investigate you. So if they find any mark, especially if he left a mark on them, that's all they need right there. They're gonna press charges against you.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens here. This is a bizarre case. There's no doubt about that. Don't spank your kids is the moral of that story. Otherwise, you're in trouble, or you certainly run the risk of being in trouble. It's as if the NFL needed any more black eyes. This one isn't good. It just isn't. Coming on the heels of Ray Rice, then over the NBA, we've got Danny Ferry. Let's listen to Danny Ferry, because remember the story was that he was simply reading a scouting report that they had received on Luol Deng. Now, someone taped it. This was a conference call with ownership. Who the hell taped this thing? And leaked it out. And this is Danny Ferry, and you be the judge for yourself as to whether you think he's reading it or he's speaking the words himself.
Well, he's not perfect. He's got some African in him. And I don't say that in a bad way, other than, he's a guy that...
Great comment with Sterling. I take this shit. That's going to be on TMZ.
Somebody predicted it right. It's going to be on TMZ.
It's beautiful and great, but he may be... have some counterfeit stuff behind you. And that, when I say that, I mean, for example, he can come out and be an unnamed source for a story. And 2 days later come out and say, that was absolutely not me. I can't believe someone said that.
Sounds to me like he's speaking those words.
In the article I'm reading, apparently when he said he's got a little African in him, it was the ownership group laughing behind him. And then that said that comment was Sterling. It's going to be on TMZ tomorrow.
Right. So one of them knew. One of them was recording.
Those are probably the guys recording it. Here's the little African comment.
If you manage it the right way, he'll be fine. He's still a young guy overall. But he is also he's a good guy overall, but he's not perfect. He's got some African in him.
Yeah, that's the comment that gets him in trouble. And you've got to be, first of all, I don't even know what that means. What percentage of players in the NBA are black? I mean, you're talking about a guy who's black in a league that's almost all black. Why would that be surprising to you? In this case, he's from the Sudan. That's where he was born, and he's a British citizen.
Wait, I'm confused. He's got a little African in him? He's black, right?
Yeah. So and he's from Africa.
So he's got a lot of African in him. Okay. So
that's what I mean. I don't understand the context in which that statement's made. So I've got a lot of American in me because I'm from America. I was born here. So he has a lot of African in him. Is it a derogatory term that he was using? I don't know how he meant it because he didn't go into any explanation or detail. That's what was so weird about it all. But what my point was, though, it sounds as though he's speaking himself because he hesitates and he says, and then if you're reading something, you're not talking like that.
It sounds like he was reading it at first, and then he kind of switched to his own opinion, and that's kind of how you can tell. He's not perfect. He's
Yeah, but he's overall a good guy.
Overall a good guy, but not perfect. He's got a little African in him. He kind of says it with conviction almost.
And that, to me, it just sounds to me like he's saying it himself. And I don't
think he's saying it himself.
You know, to my point of view, somebody had it in for him at the Hawks organization. I mean, I don't know who in their right mind would have said something like that. I think Ferry was an idiot for saying it. But the guy's from Africa. I mean, he was born in the Sudan. So which part of this don't these guys get? It's really bizarre.
It's anytime you make any sort of a reference towards black ethnicity or anything black, you're racist.
That's very true.
That's what this is.
And if you're not with your wife talking, you better never say anything.
Watch out.
Even with your wife.
What about with your silly rabbit?
Yeah, or your silly rabbit, like Donald Sterling found out. Somebody's recording you. Just expect it to be recorded. No matter how private you think it is, you better be careful in this country. If you're in any position regarding the public eye or any organization in sports, you better assume that everything you say is being recorded. And I suppose if you assume that, you'll probably be okay. Because chances are it is being recorded, as we're finding out. Even in the privacy of your own teleconference call with your ownership talking about a scouting report on a guy. So, like I said, I don't even know what that comment means. He's got a little African in him. What does that even mean? It's very bizarre. He didn't explain what the comment meant, if you notice. He didn't say, and by that I mean X, Y, or Z. That was just an odd scouting report.
Hey guys, he's black.
Yeah. He's got a little black in him. What does that mean? He's black. It doesn't make any sense, and most of the stuff doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just insane. We live in an insane society.
I mean, if you record someone for how long in a private conversation, are you going to be able to put something out there that might make them look in a bad light?
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? It's absurd.
About something. It may not be race. It could be something else. It's just absurd. But in this society, no one else receives that kind of protection. The Jews don't receive it. They're the most persecuted group of people in the history of mankind.
You don't receive it?
I sure as hell don't receive it.
You get the whip.
People say whatever they want about me. I get the switch. They come after me with the switch. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. This is the Pat Fleur Urban Gateway Buick GMC Kings Court. And on the other side, the Window World Rewind is a debate with John Ziegler and I today over Roger Goodell and whether or not he can be trusted and whether or not his word means anything. I think you'll enjoy this debate. It's our Window World Rewind brought to you by the good folks at Window World, 314-993-1800. It's coming up next.
And now, the fine folks at First Choice Commercial and Residential Contracting Company take this time to remind everyone to show support to all of our troops, veterans, and first responders this September 11th. Thank you